and welcome to our channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. But if you haven't, my name is Sarah.
And I'm Cindy.
Quick disclaimer, we're both still kind of sick. So if our voices sound different or we're nasally, I apologize. Also, I'm probably going to cough 1,000 times. But yes, we have updates on Ruby Frank. We've covered this a lot on the podcast, I think once on here. But basically she's pled guilty, and you'd like to think that that was a good thing, but this is actually probably a really bad thing.
I'm really frustrated with the legal system.
Yeah.
But I knew that this would happen.
100%.
Kevin Frankie has filed for divorce.
Which is like, you should have done that before.
Well, it falls into her little plan. I believe in Utah, and as in most states, if you are a convicted felon, you're not going to get your kids, right? Well, your spouse can. If he's never been convicted, he can get them. He can take custody of them. They can live in the home. You can come over to his home and visit, unless there's a no contact rule. And most likely there won't be.
Yeah, it's really disheartening, and I don't want to sit here and hate on a specific religion, because I have nothing against people who are Mormon.
No.
I have nothing against
I'm
any
not
religion.
Mormon, but I'm not here to bash them.
Yeah, but the Mormon Church in Utah has a significant amount of power over the legal system, the school system, all of everything. I mean, it's the most popular religion in that state, and specifically in their area. The church does play into a factor.
Yeah.
I truly believe that, and this is my opinion, and it's not backed up by fact or anything. Please don't come for me. I don't want the Mormon Church to sue me, because they have been cease and desisting people. But I truly believe that the church is helping get these people off to save face.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit that they hired and recommended these people to an abuser.
Yeah. Now, Ruby, she's pled guilty to 4 charges.
4 of the 6 that she was charged with.
Yeah, they've dropped 2. She could get anywhere from 1 to 15 years. It's going to run one right after another. And
sorry to cut you off.
Well, I was just gonna say, she could get probation after 6 months. She served 3 months, so she has only 3 more months, and she could be a free woman.
Yeah. I was a little concerned that they were going to say that she was... Basically, she is running these consecutively instead of broken.
Well,
because she's getting off. Don't do that.
Yeah. Basically, she could, because of the overpopulation, they could say, because she's been so good, they could say, but she just has recently turned on her lover.
Well,
in my opinion, she has just recently turned on Jody. She, up until, this last month, she was begging to be with Jody, begging to, she even changed venues so that she could be with Jody.
Yeah. Now, okay, there are tons of things in psychology, like there's Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
When there's other things where you get attached to your abuser.
Yeah.
And you will defend them even if deep down in your heart. I mean, there's people who have went to jail for people because they truly believe that this person loves them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you commit crimes, you deserve to be punished for the crime. I'm so sorry, but I don't know in what world she thinks that she can actually use this defense. I guess in our world, because she is using this defense and it's working for her.
Yeah.
She's saying that she was isolated and manipulated and abused by Jodi Hildebrandt.
Oh, let's not get this wrong. She used the exact wording
That
Jesse did. The exact wording. She is claiming to have had the same thing happen to her that happened to Jesse.
And multiple other victims of Jodi.
But she can run around town getting speeding tickets and
well, also
giving her daughters away to people who can use them as little maids.
I'd like to point out that, okay, if you're abusing someone, and see how Jesse describes it as, I'm using she, but I mean they. They were locked in a room and isolated.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to talk to their friends. They weren't allowed to have contact with their family. They weren't allowed to talk to people in church. Literally physically duct taped to prevent them from speaking. But she is going through the same thing. Ruby's going through the same amount of abuse as her children and Jesse and multiple other people of Jodi. But she was able to go to trips to Hawaii and Honolulu and wherever the hell else they went. They went on several out-of-country, expensive, lavish trips while her children are at home starving by themselves, running around the street at dark.
Yeah, at midnight.
How she is explaining this. If she was so manipulated and abused by Jodi, why would she sit there in court and bold-faced lie about her own child?
Yeah.
Being a predator.
What I want to know what the judge said about that. Now, the judge has ordered a statement hearing for February 20th. That's when she's going to be actually sentenced. She's going to be told exactly how much time she's going to have. But by then, he could say, well, you've been so good, time served.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's February. That's only 2 more months. And they said they hold these hearings every 6 months to see how well you're doing. And your progress that you've made.
Okay,
her kids didn't get that 6 months. They got straight up, well, one of them's 12, one of them's going on 11. They didn't get that chance.
Also,
they have been abused from birth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, also, this whole Jodi situation, okay, let's pretend that she didn't meet her in 2012 or whenever, because I believe they've known each other since 2012.
I believe they went to the same church.
Well, they've been gone to the same church.
Yeah.
But let's forget about the fact that she was also Chad's therapist and their marriage therapist since 2012.
Yeah.
What about all the other stuff, Ruby? What about you on camera telling your child you don't need to eat?
No.
You're hungry in the morning, but you don't need food. Oh, it's below 0 outside and it's snowing?
You
don't need that coat. You're gonna have to freeze if you can't be responsible, even though you're 6 years old.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to starve at school because you're 5 and you forgot your lunch.
Yeah. And when
What
are you
about
going
all
to
that?
learn?
What about making your kids lay on hot pavement and do planks for hours? Or at least 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. It takes a matter of minutes for your skin to burn on pavement.
Well, there was a neighbor who had told a story about how they had this little tiny pool, and everybody came over, and they were enjoying everything, but certain children couldn't get in the pool. They weren't allowed to because they weren't good that day.
Well,
what
also,
about Christmas? Christmas.
Yeah, you like our big Christmas tree? It's literally so big it doesn't fit in frame.
Oh my god, it's so big. We can't get a topper on it.
Yeah, there's literally no... It leans at the top. It's such a jank Christmas tree.
I love it though.
But what about the fact that you use your religion to abuse your children before all that? What about all that stuff on camera? What about you on the Connections Facebook page, in videos, and in group chats telling people to, oh, your child's transgender, your child's gay, kick them out of the house.
Yeah, at 13,
At
14,
13.
It's okay. They can find their own way. Because they're not living in
They're living in
their
distortion.
truth. They're not living in their truth at 13 or 14. My daughter wants to go to a party. This one lady, she called in and she said, my daughter wants to go to a party. And
there's going to be boys there.
She's 17 and she can drive.
Well, and I'd also like to point out that this 17-year-old said there might be alcohol there, there will be boys there, I'm going to be responsible. Like, this kid didn't lie about anything. She straight up told her parent. If that was me, I would have been allowed to go to the party. Because you trust me.
Because you're a good, honest person.
And I was honest with you.
And, I mean, I've had my son call me and say, Mom, I've had something to drink. I'm afraid to come home. Can you come and get me? And I went over and I got him because
he got in
him.
trouble and there was consequences for his actions. But it wasn't kick him out of the house and make him homeless.
No.
It's just the 180 thinking of these people.
Yeah.
Oh, your kid is not living the way you want them to live, so you're going to stop paying for their heart condition pills?
Yeah.
That makes you a real good person and parent.
And this is Ruby.
That was straight from her mouth.
This is Ruby saying this. This isn't Jody. And Jody was not even in the thing. This is Ruby answering questions and emails.
Some of them Jody was there, but it was like Ruby was speaking.
But these situations were just Ruby.
If you are going to be a trash person and you're going to believe, like if you're going to be someone who is racist, own up to it. Admit, I don't like this certain type of person. I don't like gay people. Say it. Say it with your whole chest.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and say, I'm a good Christian person. I'm a good Mormon. I'm going to heaven.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sit here and be the most cruel and evil person on earth.
Even if it was all Jody did everything. Jody punished them. Jody was the one that was, cutting them and putting the chili pepper and honey in there to make it worse. Duct taping them, tying them to the bed. Say that's all Jody. Mm-hmm. She was there that morning.
Yeah. You filmed videos for 4 hours.
You don't say goodbye to your kids. You don't wonder where they are in a total, well, she's not a total stranger, but in a person's house that, they don't belong at. Mm-hmm. You run off to take your other daughters so that they can be your other girlfriend's slave and clean her house because she's having a party.
Yeah.
But you don't take care of your kids?
The way she kept saying, Pam kept saying, they're just here to clean, they're just here to clean, they're just here to... Makes me think that they weren't just there to clean.
No.
Let's not forget Miss Pam.
Yeah, let's not forget Miss Pam because...
And she went on those vacations knowing that there are children, minors, at home, possibly without food.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's 4 minors. The oldest one is 16. The youngest one is 10. Yeah, they're old enough to maybe stay a night by themselves. But...
Well, a 16-year-old could probably stay...
You're going on vacation and you're leaving your kids to fend for themselves?
Yeah. A 16-year-old
when the dad lives
20 minutes down the road. Well, I think he lives like 5 miles away.
Why can't dad visit him? Oh, I forgot. He took a second glance of the woman, and he's in distortion.
Well, we don't know for sure.
That's what Kevin's claiming. Everything's being placed on Jody, and I'm right there with you.
The woman needs to go to jail. I'm not saying no.
If she gets time served, I will be infuriated.
I have a theory about what's happening and why it's happening. First off, one, I think the church has something to do with it.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to upset the court system. Doesn't want to upset the church.
Yeah.
By
we're just gonna slide Ruby through first.
Well, I think they want Ruby. They don't care about.
No.
She's the smaller fish. People have, especially in Utah, right now, been looking at these life coaches and been like, it's not that, like, I can say I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a degree.
No.
I don't have to go to school. I can sit here and be a board certified therapist almost.
Yeah, well, you can say you are.
I can say that without actually having any credentials. So I think a lot of people are looking at them really, really heavily about the whole life coach thing, and they want to set a precedent.
Well, that's why.
With it, so they want to make. So what I think is that Jody's going to be charged with a heavy sentence, like 25 years.
But she's going to get out.
She probably might get out, but she'll be charged with that, so they can look like they're good people. For charging.
Well, I don't know now. She is on the 21st. She's going up for the same type of hearing that Ruby went in for, and they're thinking that she's taking a plea too.
See, I was hoping they wouldn't accept the plea.
Well,
but
I believe the judge is Judge Walden, or something.
I believe he's also a Mormon judge. I'm not saying that he's biased in any way.
I believe the district attorney was a part of the church.
But
in my opinion, they're all a part of the church, and they want this stuff to go away.
Well, even if they're not a part of the church, it's still my conspiracy theory brain says somebody's been paid off. Because as a parent, why don't you, unless someone physically kidnaps my child, if I don't see my kid for more than a day, I'm gonna say, produce my child. If I see the tiniest minute little scratch on my child, I'm gonna be like, you need to explain to me in full detail how that kid got that scar.
Yeah.
Because I understand kids fall down, they get scrapes, they don't get rope. I mean, I don't think
around the waist, around your arms.
People understand that it's not like these kids weren't just tied up. You know what I'm saying? They were tied up for so long, prolonged amount of time, to where the rope didn't just burn them. It got embedded in their skin. And I know it cut them. And I know that's gross to think about, and it's hard to think about, but that's what happened to these kids.
Yeah.
These children were mentally and physically tortured.
Yeah.
For reasons that this woman flip-flops back and forth. Yes, Jody probably said, we're gonna tie the kids up. Yes, Jody probably was the one who orchestrated all of it. But that doesn't excuse this woman, because she knew what was happening. And did not one time think, okay, you can abuse me. You can tie me up. You can lock me in a room. You can, take everything away from me. But most people, I'd like to think, like if somebody came in here and just tied me up for I went to go stay at someone's house and you knew I was tied up on a bed, not being able to move, having hot chili pepper and honey,
not being fed,
I'm starving, would you be able to sleep at night?
No.
And I'm an adult.
I can't stand the thoughts of those little kids.
I mean, I have no connection to these children. I don't know them. I watch their channel because I talk about them on the internet. So I do know them in the sense of having that parasocial relationship with them.
But any child that's suffering,
to think about that.
How do you allow someone to get away with that? How do you just go to sleep with a clear conscience at night as a district attorney, as a judge? That's your obligation.
And know that this woman can apply for custody.
And even if she doesn't get custody,
she's going to get visitation.
Her husband's not going to stop her. And you're going to give the kids to her husband, obviously, because that's the way it's going.
This is how you get cases like, I cannot for the life of me right now remember the name of the case, but once I start describing it, everyone will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The case of the guy who he killed his two little boys and set the house on fire.
Yeah, I can't remember the case.
But the cops were called multiple times in that case. The cops had known about this. This man was continuously given access to these children after knowing they were horrifically abused by him.
Even as the social worker is saying, help me.
Yeah, the social worker is saying, this is not right. I don't feel comfortable. 911, get here now. Those kids are no longer alive because the system failed them.
Yes.
And that right there is what I hope does not happen with this. Because if she is so easily manipulated, she should not have access to these children again.
How is it that a man can go from, I want to put my daughter in jail for 10 to 20 years for burglary, to walking in court with her and asking for custody? How is it that the courts can just be manipulated like that?
And I think Sherry probably wants to do what's best for her siblings, and she might have said, hey, if you do everything I say, I'll let you see the kids.
And that's fine.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed to see his children, but he should not have custody of them.
No.
He should not be able to make financial or any kind of parental decision for those kids because he cannot be trusted, obviously.
I want to know.
He didn't care 6 months ago.
No. A year ago.
He didn't care a year ago. He didn't care 5 years ago that she was starving the kids and beating them and exploiting them online. He didn't care then, so why is he going to care now? Oh, because the law got involved?
No, because the money got involved. There's a trust or something going on because he really, really, really wants those kids. He really wants those kids.
Well, if he's the parental, unless a court serves a subpoena and says the kids have to testify.
Yeah,
or the kids have to.
That's why Russell and Eve isn't with Sherry.
Well, what I'm saying is, if he has custody of the kids, unless the court says no, we're forcing you to, or you have to go to jail. he can say, you're not allowed to talk to my kids anymore.
Yeah. Well,
no longer interviewed. So anything else that might come out can be swept under the rug.
Well, I know that I feel like there's so much going on that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like the state of Utah is against those children. There's no way that she walks on 3 months if she's anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If she was in California, no way. Not even, you know, any.
I mean, there's always a
celebrity.
possibility because the court system, when it comes to custody issues and things like that, it everywhere has its bad cases.
Yeah, but there's so much evidence.
Yeah.
So much evidence. I mean, right in court, she's saying that her child is a pedophile. She's saying that her child is an abusive person, addicted to stuff that shouldn't be even in his mindset.
Yeah.
And that's her fault. Ruby, it's your fault.
If your child
that's the way he is,
if your child looked at inappropriate, dirty magazines or an online site at 3 years old, that's the point where you need to check yourself, because somebody in that house exposed your child to it.
Yeah.
Because a 3-year-old doesn't just know how to look up stuff online.
Yeah.
They barely know how to make full sentences. Well, they can make full sentences, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know how to order a Starbucks.
Yeah. That's between you and Kevin.
Unless your kid is just some genius pervert. I don't
know. But I think...
But that little boy that I saw in those videos...
Yeah. I mean...
That little boy is a pervert?
He didn't even know that one of his sisters wasn't even in the house with him. He thought that 2 of the girls were there instead of just one.
Yeah. Well, like Jesse said, when they... excuse me, were in the care of Jody, they didn't even know what, like, half of the things that she was being accused, or they were being accused of doing. They didn't even know that it was possible, or what it was.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't teach her or them about that kind of stuff. And so, Russell probably doesn't even know. I mean, Eve wasn't, not Eve. Which one was it? Julie, no. Abby went to a dance with a boy and didn't even know that, like, she had to stand, like, that far apart.
Yeah.
From the boy. I mean, and you know, Russell's a pervert? No, I don't believe it for a second. This woman is a monster.
That wasn't even addressed today in court.
And it should have been. It should have been. That judge should have sat there and said, you need to walk back on these statements, because that's going to follow this kid forever.
Well, now he did order an assessment of the trial assessment for someone with the court system to handle it. Meaning what the charges were, how bad they were, what exactly happened,
and see,
how she's been since then. But see, I mean, she requested to move from her hometown, where her kids were, to Jody's town, 4 hours away. She requested to go to that town specifically
because Jody had a lot of pull there.
I think because Jody had a lot of pull, and I think, she's blaming Jody right now. Jody's going to be the fall guy, but Jody's going to be out in less than a year. I mean, just look at the way the court's going.
Yeah.
She's not going to get real time. Ruby's not going to get real time.
No.
This
no
judge.
No real justice is going to happen for these kids.
No.
And that's the heartbreaking thing.
Yeah. It's so frustrating and makes me so angry. I just want to, go and say, Judge, what are you doing? How can you accept this? Now, she could get 15 years for each sentence. And if that's the case, then she could, possibly have to say at least 7 years in jail.
Still not enough.
That's not enough.
Because those kids are going to be forever. They are forever changed.
But at least they'll be adults.
Well, and
when she gets out.
Something else that frustrates me is there was no talk of any compensation. Like victim compensation.
Why?
And I know money doesn't fix everything, but she should have to pay back those children for everything she's put them through.
I think that I think that there's a trust fund or there's a bank account.
Most likely.
And I believe probably Sherry has her hand on it and saying, okay, we'll do it your way, but you're going to do it my way. And, the kids are going to be in her custody until they're old enough to...
No.
Because he's not going to fight Sherry for custody. How could he win? She has been their mother since they've been born.
Yeah.
She's brushed their teeth and their hair and given them baths and, helped them get dressed and, help them learn how to wear makeup and things like that. While Ruby's sitting over here filming everything and exploiting them, Sherry's been the one that's been taking care of them. While he's been at work doing God knows what. And
harassing his students.
And things. And harassing them. I would just like to know. Sorry, had a change of thought. I would just like to know how the court is going to react to the Anastasia and all of the BS.
From what I understand, that's not being entered.
Are they just going to blame that on?
That's not a factor. These charges are only for the abuse
for the
of
two kids,
Russell and Eve.
Forget that she left the two other girls there by themselves
in the
for
care
weeks
of another person who is. There was
a little suspect.
There was no talk of Abby and Julie getting like some sort of payment or anything like that. And see, Pam knew that those kids were starving because she kept saying, "We had a meal. We had a meal.
We had a great meal. It was a wonderful
expensive meal.
I took him out for ice cream.
I gave him food and ice cream.
And if you think that scrubbing my dining room floor is punishment, then oh my gosh, yeah, then maybe so. Her floors are carpet. Number one, you could see into her dining room.
Yeah, she had carpet.
It was carpet. It wasn't. They weren't.
Which is like honestly in 2023, and you have like actual carpet, not like a rug.
I guess she could have them scrub the floor with their hands and on their hands and knees.
Yeah, but if anybody's ever scrubbed carpet, I'm gonna need like $15 for that. I'm just saying, Pam knew because she had to have. She kept saying in her little police interview thing,
and she didn't even turn one of the girls in. Or say anything about her.
Until she absolutely felt like she had to.
Until the social worker got there, actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until the social worker was probably going to say, where's the other one?
Yeah. Well, we still can't find... The cop even said, when they first got there, the officer said, we saw that you checked her out, but we can't find the other girl.
Yeah.
There's still one girl missing.
Didn't mention it.
Never mentioned that she's standing right there in the hall.
It's just unbelievably infuriating that this plea deal was even allowed.
Yeah.
She should have to serve maximum sentence for each charge. And I believe that the 2 charges that they dropped was, one of the charges was a felony abuse charge, but it has to deal with brainwashing and physical torture.
Now that she got, that was number 5, I believe.
She got charged with that?
I believe so. That's, she got 1, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 5, I believe, were the charges. The 6th charge was the worst charge.
Yeah.
I believe that's what you were thinking of.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that one was dropped.
And that one was dropped.
Um,
And he wouldn't discuss, none of them would discuss why they were dropped. The district attorney went out and made a statement.
They probably, because like I said, she probably didn't, you know, or we don't know as of right now if Ruby was the one who physically was putting like the chili powder and stuff like that in the wounds. We don't know if she was the one who physically tied up the children. She okayed it. She said, yeah, do what you want with my children. I don't give a crap. So if you didn't give a crap then, don't sit here and fake cry in court now. Because you got caught.
She was so happy. She was
kept
almost smiling, like giddy smile.
she
was
like,
so happy.
Like, you know when you're trying not to smile and you're like,
yeah, trying to be serious, but really happy.
And she, at one point, her stupid lawyer, who looked more upset than she did, was standing kind of in her way, so like she sat here and he's standing here, so the camera angle that I saw, I couldn't quite see her that well, but, I noticed for just 1 minute, she goes, and rolled her eyes. I wanted to jump through the screen. I wanted to take a trip down to Utah. I've been to Utah. I know where you're at. That was a joke. I don't want anybody to think that I'm actually threatening her. I'm just saying, in that moment, if she was standing in front of me, I would have jumped over the table at her.
Yeah.
I would have went feral.
Well, because
how are you going to roll your eyes in court when you're saying that you abuse your children?
Yeah. And she apologized greatly for number 5. She was so sorry.
Deep regret.
Yes.
You don't regret anything. You just regret getting caught.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for this woman. Got no sympathy for Kevin or Jody or Pam. They're all trash people. And I honestly, don't care about them. I hope she gets beat up in prison. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was me.
I wouldn't be against that, but I wouldn't promote it.
No, don't hurt her. Don't hurt her. Nobody threaten her. Let's not do that. I'm just saying.
If you do, we won't be mad.
Just saying what we're all thinking.
Yes. But the thing is, I feel like, and I hope you feel like, this is so frustrating and so horrible. It's like a rape victim says when they have to go to court, it's freeing when they get up there and testify. They don't get to do that. They don't get their time in court because mommy was afraid of what they would say.
Yeah.
They don't get their day in court. They don't get their justice.
They don't get their side of this story told.
Yeah, until they're older and, everybody
does an interview or writes a book.
Yeah. But they don't get their peace. They won't have that peace because she took it away from them.
Yeah.
And the courts took it away from them. And yeah, it's traumatic getting up there on the stand and stuff like that, but you know what? Maybe they wanted to. Nobody asked them. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair for the kids. I don't give anything about Ruby. I don't care about her. I'm glad that she's pled guilty and is owning up to it.
I never thought she would do that,
No.
to be honest.
I
Because
never
she
thought
has
she'd turn
always...
against Jody.
Well, not even... I knew she was going to turn against... They were going to turn against each other.
Yeah.
But
I figured Jody would turn against her.
I never thought that she would admit to doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because she is a narcissist.
Yeah. And she was so happy that her mommy and daddy finally came into the country to see her. Not when Russell and Eve was admitted into the hospital.
No, they couldn't make it then.
They stayed out. Not when all of these other kids had to go to court and face a judge. They didn't bother showing up.
They were doing a mission, and that's really great.
Yeah, but
missions help so many people, but at the same time, they can take breaks and during emergencies and crisis, and they could have sent somebody else in place of them, or they could have come visit and then went back.
Exactly.
Like it's the absence for me.
And they show up for her.
That's what the kids are gonna remember.
Yeah, they show up for her.
You remember who wasn't there more than you remember who was.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Sherry's there for them, but and Russell stayed out of it as far as I know. But
you mean Chad?
Oh yeah, Chad. Sorry, Russell. I hope Chad and Sherry are taking care of at least the girls, and they get to see Russell and Eve.
Yeah.
But
from what I understand with Russell, he has a no contact order against because of the allegations against him. He's not allowed to interact with other children or people.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's by himself in a separate home, where I believe Eve is in maybe a foster home that might have other kids or something. But from what I understand about Russell, because of his allegations, he's not allowed to interact with other children.
That's right. He had no contact. And what are they going to do about that?
I don't know if that's still reinstated or not. They've not really, because of the judge ordering that the kids' cases be kind of sealed. We haven't been told anything new about that. But last I heard, that's what was happening with him.
That's right.
Which is heartbreaking because that kid has no one he knows to talk to. And
no one to care about him.
Well, hopefully the family he's staying with.
Yeah, hopefully the foster family are able to, and he's getting therapy and stuff. But that's not going to help because right now everyone's hiding everything under the rug. So is he getting help? Is he getting therapy? Are the courts allowing that? We don't know. As far as we know, he's just stuck in a room, being tortured again. The state of Utah needs some heavy guidance. I just absolutely love how Kevin Frankie comes in and talks to the state senator to get some reform done on therapists. He did it. He's saving everyone. Well, where were you 10 years ago when your kids needed you? Where were you 5 years ago when your kids needed you?
If you don't agree with these therapeutic practices, why would you send your son Chad to a wilderness camp that is basically a camp for adults that have no at that time. Yeah. They had absolutely zero child therapists, but it's supposed to be a child therapy center. But it was also an adult center, so you just sent your kid to another state
to live in
to
the
live
wilderness.
in the wilderness by himself. It was okay then, but now because
it was okay for you to for Kevin to allow Ruby to take his bed for 7 months.
Yeah.
For him not to have a bedroom, not to have
a door,
a place in his life. He couldn't even go to the bathroom in private.
Yeah.
And that was okay for you.
Yeah.
It was okay for you to
this is
punish.
also the man who sits there and yells at his female students for making TikToks outside the building on public sidewalk, not impeding anyone, and failed them
because of
them dancing provocatively. You're a teacher. Why are you looking?
Yeah.
Okay, that's creepy. You just admit, you're a pervert. To physically grab female students' arms and hold on to them tightly,
pulling them.
He's a gem of a person.
Yeah.
To shame kids in your class. I know these are adults, but that's
17 to 17 and up.
That's inappropriate behavior for a professor. No wonder you got fired.
Yeah.
And Jody had nothing to do with that.
No.
That's on you, boo.
And who is this young man, this young teenager who Jody moved in to keep an eye on you?
I'd like to know why he was just living with a random
teenager.
I think he was like a 17-year-old or something like that. But it's like, why are you living with a random child that's not yours? I can understand if he ran away from home or he didn't have parents.
Well, no, Jody sent the child there to keep an eye on Kevin so that he wouldn't stray, so he wouldn't live in distortion.
Yeah.
That's the story they tell.
It's giving, Mike Johnson and his son monitoring each other's
porn
addictions.
Oh my god.
I just, everyone involved is disgusting.
It's so hard, and I hated even thinking about sitting down and doing this because I knew that I'd be mad and I'd say something hurtful, and I would cry, and I just want to scream at the court system right now because going through something similar to this is really frustrating as the adult trying to help the child.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for those kids, even the older girls, because they're still young. They're still children.
Well, they don't know what's going on. They don't know why this is happening.
And
because this is all they know.
Yeah.
When your parent, the person who's supposed to take care of you, hurts you, if you don't realize that it's an abusive thing, excuse me, you don't realize it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because
you're used to it. You don't know any better.
It took Sherry until after she got to college and realized the values were not matching up with what she was experiencing in the outside world.
Yeah.
And then when she realized this is not good for me. I need to take a step out of this. And then she pulled back from being a part of the family. But the other kids don't have that opportunity.
No.
They're still young and impressionable. So they don't even know that they've been hurt.
I mean, Russell...
Or why they've been hurt.
Russell was saying on the 911 tape that it was his fault.
Yeah.
That he was being hurt. He did something wrong. He was living in distortion.
He didn't know what he did wrong, but he knew he did something wrong.
So it was his fault. It was a little 12-year-old who, by the way, is very unproportioned to his age.
Yeah, well, see, he's always been a little bit small.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. He's kind of a short kid, and he's kind of a skinny kid. But they said, one of the officers said that he looked like he was closer to 9 years old.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
They assumed he was a lot younger than he was, and was very shocked to find out his actual age because of how physically small he looked.
Yeah. And that's... I mean, I cannot believe that the district attorney, yes, it's the judge's fault too, but
it's
the district attorney's job is to make sure that the punishment fits the crime.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah, the
It's just
district
not
attorney
fair.
can say, no, we don't want to accept this deal. I want to continue pressing charges. And then the judge has to take that into consideration. And most of the time, they will agree because, the literally the district attorney is saying, no, this person needs to be charged. They will go along with what they say. But the fact that they all agreed to this plea deal just so that they could get Jody is just stinky.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't charge Kevin at all. And he needed to be... Where's the abandonment charges?
Yeah.
He abandoned his children.
He admits to not seeing them for 13 months. That's abandonment.
In this country, in most states that I know of, abandonment charges is real.
Well,
why
I think
isn't
it's supposed to be 38 hours, 48 hours. If you don't have contact with your child, it's considered abandonment.
Well, some places, like if you go to a daycare, and if your child goes to a daycare and you don't come within 3 hours after, I know our daycare could say, I'm calling the police, I'm calling social services. At school, if, you don't come and pick your child up and we can't get a hold of you, after a certain amount of time, we have to call social services.
Yeah.
And so it's within hours, not years.
Unless you're that one school that I went to where they left me.
Oh.
Then nothing was done
That
then.
We're not even going to talk about that school. That's a whole nother situation. Don't let your child go to school in Alabama. That's all I'm saying. I don't like it. But I just wonder, why isn't he being charged? Why isn't he being made to pay child support? Is he being made to pay child support to Sherry?
Well, he says he's broke because of...
Well, he has a job.
Well, he says that he was being financially abused by Ruby and Jody.
Oh, I know that.
Giving all the money to them.
But not now. Not for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And Sherry's had custody of those two girls for 3 months. Why isn't he? Is he paying child support? You may not think we need to know this stuff, and no, we probably don't. But
it would be nice to know that these children are at least getting financially compensated for the mishandling at the nicest way I could say.
Yeah. I mean,
of their lives.
Yeah. And probably when they're older, they can sue Ruby and Kevin, and maybe they can get some of that money back.
They need to be paid compensation for their work on the YouTube channel.
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe they can get compensation for that back when they're older, and they can sue them. But for right now, just child support. Where is the child support? Why isn't she having to pay child support?
Mm-hmm.
She's in jail. Other people that are in jail pay child support.
Yeah. You have jobs in jail.
Well, she's made millions off of these kids. She could come up with some child support. I know supposedly somebody came in and robbed them, and they had their little 3 holes, and his attorney can't find the money now, and, blah, 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 but it doesn't matter. She made money off of them. She can find some way to pay them back. I'm just saying. And by the way, I would like to say how all 3 of her sisters has made videos about her. How they just cannot stand by her. They cannot stand her. They're just devastated by this. And they were in court.
Smiling at her.
They were in court today. So,
I mean, you could go to they could go to court and in support of the children, but sitting there smiling at them.
But they weren't in support of the children. They were with her parents, sitting right behind her.
I'd like to point out that I'd like to know where, not the exact location, but I'm saying I'd like to know if Sherry is still living with her parents.
Well, she was living at their house. She was staying at their house.
I know, but now that they're back.
Yeah, and things are going south. Maybe she's getting a place of her own with the girls.
Hopefully.
I don't know. But,
I think that's where we're going to end it.
Yeah, because I've got to go and cry.
We will see you next time with hopefully a lighter toned video.
We do have Colleen to talk about, which I'm feeling frustrated and all that. So we may just come back in a few minutes and talk about Colleen.
We will see you next time, and make sure to follow, subscribe.
Be good to each other.